Since AI is so good now, I asked my AI to print me some ideas. Alexa, print me some good ideas. And after the print had cooled, I sat and read the book that the printer gave me. And I tried to think of a way to do something unique. You see, I've made an FPV remote controlled Warhammer Tank, and I've made one that even shoots fire. So how could I make something that could possibly be any more exciting than that? And then it hit me. Maybe I could make a repulsor executioner actually hover.
Oh my...
This is Groundeffected, and my name is your dad. And in this video, I'm going to show you my process of making a repulsor executioner hover. The most important thing for making something like this is to remove a lot of plastic. Basically, in my opinion, I think that there is too many turtles dying in the ocean, and so there was too much plastic given with my kit, so I decided to remove it. And ironically put it back in the dustbin so that it would probably kill some turtles in the ocean. But that's not the important part of this video. I'm going to remove a lot of the parts of this model with a Dremel, because in a previous video, people had a problem with me using a knife and slicing my finger open. So I decided to use the least dangerous option, which is a highly speedy rotating device with a sharp cutting device on it, which is definitely way safer than a knife. After I'd cut out a lot of the model, I glued in some of the pieces to kind of get a feel for how this was going to fit together. Of course, the only way I'm going to really make this thing hover is not through anti-gravity, sorry to say, but the way I'm going to do this is probably putting a drone in the bottom of it. So I need to remove almost all of the bottom of this tank so that I can fit this drone in. I took some measurements, of which I promptly ignored, because measurements are for losers. And I started out with making a square, because that's a very complicated part to make, and if you make that first, you've gotten over the difficult parts already. But on the for real side, I made the square because I needed to make sure that I found the footprint of what was going to fit into the bottom of the tank, so I can work out where these anti-gravity pads, whatever the heck they're called, I need to figure out how they're going to fit underneath the tank with drone propellers flying under there. So by working out that square size, I was able to work out how much I needed to cut off from these plates at the bottom of the tank. As you can tell, I needed to cut quite a lot of the material away because I need to fit in a thing inside of this tank, and realistically I don't even know if this is going to work, but we have some faith and we will keep on keeping on, as they say. Now, one thing that a drone needs to fly is airflow, and so I cut out the vents in the back of the tank, as well as I made sure that the top turret or cover cap thing was made to be open. And the reason for this is to create at least just a little bit of airflow going through the top of the tank, so that can go over the propellers and help create the generous lift that we needed. Once I was happy with the cavity, it was time to work on the parts that needed to be printed. And to be honest, I don't know how to record my computer, and so I didn't. All I did was recorded a couple of videos to show you what it looked like when I printed the parts. Right, so now that we have all the parts we need to make this work, it's time to actually put these pieces together and figure out how it's really going to work. The first thing I'm going to do is, now that I have the actual size of where the propellers are going to be and the height they're going to be from the tank, I'm going to cut those little pieces off from the side plates on the tank. Then I'm going to put together this drone. Now, putting this together is not really difficult. All you have to do is put a couple of screws into a couple of motors and make sure that there's one on each arm, and put the middle piece, which is the flight controller, into the middle. It's like it really builds itself. I'm not gonna lie. Unfortunately, if you've never built a drone before, then this is probably like alien scientific mathematical equations to you, and I'm very sorry for that. Which brings me on to the subject of, can I build one for you? No, I can't. I'm afraid that would not happen, because if you crash this, it would explode into a million pieces. And if you wanted to build one for yourself and you have any kind of knowledge about flying drones, especially FPV ones, then you might be able to get this done fairly easily. To be honest, I didn't do anything too fancy with this, and if you know how to build a drone, you could probably build one of these yourself. Once I had got the entire model put together, and I've also now built somewhat of a functioning drone, it's time to work on getting that drone to fit into the tank, because I can't just put it on top. It's just not going to work like that. I designed and built a battery holder, which also is a magnet holder. It's like a dual purpose holder which holds magnets and batteries, and this is going to attach to the top of the drone and thus in turn attach to the top of the tank. Of course, I needed to make sure that all this would fit together well, so I built everything first, and then I put the magnets into the piece that is going to go into the tank, and then I glued the magnets into the tank. This is the safest way of doing it. Don't think I'm going to give you a full magnetizing tutorial in this video, but I'm sure you can find something about that in the University of YouTube's somewhere.
Very tail heavy.
And after a whole lot more material removal, it was time to check for that good old satisfying click.
Safety glasses on for this because I'm very terrified.
Oh my god!
She's gonna go to the moon.
Oh my god, dude!
Why?
Okay, so what happened was, basically there was way too much resonance in the 3D print that I had printed, and I needed to add some kind of better reinforcement. And essentially what was happening was, the motors were overriding the flight controller and giving it too much information, which confused the hell out of everything and made it put full throttle. So I stiffened the hell out of this thing, and look. And now it is time to paint this thing, because you can't just make something that flies and not paint it to look really cool, so that when it does crash, the stakes are much higher.
Yeah, you wanna put that dish in your mouth.
Wish you could slide into my mind and make me mine. Push play rewind. It's sweet outside, and so am I. You wanna slide like dynamite. Your eyes on me, flying down with me, baby. Yeah, next round on you. I'll do that too. Be good to you. My appetite.
Battery.
Well, I hope that this video inspired you to do something different and unique with your own models or modeling or hobby practices. Of course, we are now at the end of another Groundeffected video, and this is the time where I need to say a super special thank you to my Patreons. Those people are supporting the lights that blind my eyeballs and making sure that I can keep making videos. And speaking of, we have a couple new Patreons I'd like to thank right meow. Bartek, Alasok, and Brandon. Thank you, my dudes, for blinding my eyeballs with the light of the Patreon. Now, this is the best part of every video. Everything else you saw pales in comparison to this. This is when I get to tell you, if you don't like anything you see in my videos, I don't really care. And could you please kindly just f*** off? Now, how the hell do I even top that?